You know that feeling, right? Walking into a cafe, that smell of coffee beans, and the anticipation of getting your favorite drink.
Oh, absolutely. It's a little ritual, a moment of calm in the day for a lot of people.
Exactly. But if you're still learning English, that simple act of ordering can sometimes feel, well, a little intimidating.
It definitely can. There's the menu to decipher, the different options, and then actually speaking to the barista.
That's exactly why we're doing this deep dive today. We want to break down all the steps, all those little language hurdles, so that ordering coffee in English becomes a breeze.
Think of it as your guide to cafe confidence, no matter where you are in the world.
We've gone through a bunch of different materials, and the good news is they all basically agree on the essential phrases you'll need.
And that's what we'll be focusing on. We'll cover how to greet the barista, how to clearly place your order, how to make sure you get your drink just the way you like it,
How to ask about the price, how to pay, what to say when you pick up your coffee.
and even how to handle those little bits of small talk that can make the whole experience more enjoyable.
So let's imagine you walked into your favorite cafe. You're at the counter, ready to order. What are those first few words you'll want to use?
Well, a simple hi or hello always works. And adding a good morning or good afternoon is even better. It's just polite and friendly.
Right. It sets the tone. And then to see what they have, you can just say,
Can I see the menu, please? Super straightforward.
and sometimes those menus can be pretty overwhelming, especially with all the different milk options and syrups and sizes.
Absolutely. And if you're feeling a bit lost, a great question to ask is, what do you recommend?
I love that. It shows you're open to suggestions and the barista can point you in the right direction.
Exactly. And they probably know the menu inside out, so they can steer you towards something you'll really enjoy.
One of the sources actually gave a nice little example of how this first interaction could go. Let's say the barista says, "Hi there, welcome to Cafe Name. What can I get for you?"
A perfect response would be, Hi, good morning. Can I see the menu, please?
Simple, polite, effective.
Exactly. Then they might hand you the menu and say, Sure. Are you looking for anything in particular?
Now, what if you like coffee, but you're not quite sure what to get?
Then you can say something like, I'm a big coffee fan, but I'm not sure what to order today. What would you recommend?
Perfect. You're being honest, and you're inviting them to share their expertise.
And they might say something like, well, if you like strong coffee, our espresso is excellent. But if you prefer something a little sweeter, our caramel macchiato is very popular.
Decisions. Okay, let's say our listener decides to go for the caramel macchiato. How would they actually place that order?
They could just say, that sounds great. I'll go with the caramel macchiato, please.
Adding that please is always a nice touch.
Okay.
So we've handled the greetings in the initial order, but what if you want to customize your drink? Change the milk, add a syrup, that sort of thing.
That's where knowing a few key phrases can make all the difference. For example, if you want a different type of milk, you can say, can I get that with oat milk, please? Or could I have that with almond milk instead?
So clear and simple.
And if you're a fan of that foamy top on your cappuccino, you can ask for extra foam.
Oh, yes. A must for cappuccino lovers. And what about if you want to adjust the sweetness?
You can be very specific. You can say, I'd like my coffee with 1 sugar and no cream. Or could I get that with a little less syrup, please?
What's great is that cafes are so used to these kinds of requests now, they're totally ready to accommodate different preferences.
Exactly. And don't forget the temperature. If it's a hot day and you want your usual hot drink iced, just say, can I get that iced instead of hot?
It's amazing how many options are available these days. Let's put this into practice with a little customization scenario. Imagine you've ordered your caramel macchiato. How would you ask for it with almond milk?
You could say, actually, could I get that with almond milk, please?
And the barista might then say, sure. Do you want it hot or iced?
Easy, iced, please.
Then they might ask about sweetness. Do you need any extra sugar or syrup in that?
If you're happy with the standard sweetness, you can simply say, no sugar, thank you. Or, I'm good with the syrup, thanks.
And to wrap up the order,
That's all. Thanks.
see, customizing your drink is really not that complicated. Now let's move on to the practicalities. Price and payment.
This is where knowing a few more key phrases comes in handy. If you're curious about the cost before you commit to ordering, you can ask, how much is a latte? Or how much is the cappuccino?
Straightforward and to the point.
And when you're ready to pay, you have a few options. You can ask, can I pay by card? Which covers most debit and credit cards.
Or,
Do you accept contactless payment? A lot of places do these days.
and if you prefer using your phone,
You can ask, can I use Apple Pay? Or do you take Google Pay?
And don't forget about the receipt.
Right. Could I get a receipt, please? It's always a good idea to have one, just in case.
Okay, let's walk through a payment scenario. You've ordered your almond milk caramel macchiato. How would you ask for the total?
I'd probably just say, how much is that?
And the barista says that'll be $5.25, please.
Okay, can I pay with card?
Yes, of course. You can insert or tap your card here, and then to get your receipt.
Great. And could I have a receipt, please?
Sure thing. Here you go. Your drink will be ready in just a moment. Okay, so you've ordered, you've customized, you've paid. Now comes the exciting part, picking up your coffee.
Sometimes this can be a little bit chaotic, especially if the cafe is busy and they're calling out a lot of names. But when you hear your drink, all you need to say is, yes, that's mine. Thank you.
Keeps things moving smoothly.
Exactly. Now, what if you get to the counter and realize you need something else, like a napkin or a stirrer?
You can just say, excuse me, could I also get a napkin?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
like, grab a stirrer, please.
Easy. And if you're ever unsure about something, like whether your drink already has sugar in it,
Don't be afraid to ask.
exactly. You could say, excuse me, does this have sugar already or should I add some?
Better to be sure than end up with a super sweet drink you weren't expecting.
And finally, as you're leaving with your coffee, a nice way to end the interaction is with a simple,
Thank you. Have a nice day.
or thank you, have a good one.
Perfect. Okay, let's try one last scenario, the pickup moment. The barista calls out, almond milk caramel macchiato for Rahul.
Yes, that's mine. Thank you.
And as they hand you the drink,
Thanks so much. Just to double check, does this already have the caramel syrup in it?
yes, it does, but you can always add more sugar if you'd like it sweeter.
Perfect. Thank you. Have a great day.
And they say, you too, smooth and successful. Now, beyond just ordering, cafes are often social spaces, places where people chat and connect, even if it's just for a moment. What are some ways our listeners can engage in a bit of small talk if the opportunity arises?
Well, one of the most common scenarios is finding a seat. If you see someone at a table with an empty chair, you can simply ask, excuse me, is this seat taken?
A classic. And what if you want to start a conversation, maybe about the coffee itself?
You could say something like, this coffee is really good, isn't it? It's an easy way to open up a conversation.
Or if you notice someone seems to be a regular.
You could ask, do you come here often? It shows you're interested in more than just the transaction.
And if the conversation starts flowing, it's always nice to introduce yourself.
Right. You can say, nice to meet you. I'm your name.
Let's imagine a quick small talk exchange.
Mm.
You see an empty seat and ask, is this seat taken?
And the person says, no, go ahead.
You sit down and say, thanks. This coffee is delicious, don't you think?
It is. I come here almost every morning before work.
Oh, nice. Do you work nearby?
Yeah, just down the street. How about you?
Same here. I'm your name, by the way.
Nice to meet you. I'm Priya.
A little connection made, just like that. So, in this deep dive, we've really covered it all. Ordering, customizing, paying, picking up, and even a bit of cafe small talk.
Exactly. And hopefully our listeners now feel a bit more equipped to handle those interactions with confidence.
It's amazing how a few simple phrases can make such a big difference. You know, it's not just about getting a coffee, it's about feeling more comfortable in an English-speaking environment.
It's about connecting with people, even if it's just for a few moments.
And who knows? Maybe those little conversations at the cafe counter could lead to something bigger, to new friendships, new opportunities.
Absolutely. It's all about taking that first step and saying hello.
So next time you're in a cafe, take a deep breath, remember those phrases, and go for it. You might be surprised at how much you enjoy the experience.
And how delicious that coffee tastes.